Hello Dino Peeps, do you know what's wild? There are still people starting ARK fresh without experience after almost 7 years. The game has captured so many people's attention and still continues to do so. So how about a suggestion? We, the experienced players, help new players to get around in ARK with all our fails, mistakes, but also tips and tricks. In ARK it doesn't matter for how long you play the game. You learn something new every day, and there will always be things you wished you had known before you started even playing. I have asked you here on both of my YouTube channels what things you wished you have known before you started playing ARK, and I got some interesting answers which I want to show you here. Maybe our combined knowledge can help the beginners of this game. First, set your game to the normal difficulty right away. When you start your game, then your difficulty might be on easy and not on the normal setting, which is what we know as difficulty 5. The standard difficulty will spawn creatures up to level 150 for normal creatures. The lower difficulty will spawn them in the lower 2-digit level numbers. So please check your hostess setting page on how to change it for yourself. Normally you would add it to the game user settings ini or change it if it's already in the file. The second thing that users figured out might be interesting for beginners to know is that unofficial servers exist. One thing a lot of players mentioned was that they played for too long on official servers and totally disregarded that unofficial servers existed and often offer a much better game experience. Official servers have a very tight schedule on which you have to refresh your structures and animals for them not to decay. The tone and interaction with others is also pretty rough from time to time, and there will be people cheating and hacking. Unofficial servers offer mods for quality of life changes, boosted rates, and admins that are available to solve problems quickly. On average, unofficial servers also have a better performance. The next tip that you should know when you're playing ARK is to jump off your dino when you're falling. And I don't know how often I lost a mount in my early playtime because I fell down a cliff and I died to fall damage with my mount. And there's a trick to avoid this. You jump off your mount before it hits the ground, because unmounted dinos won't get fall damage at all, and you will only get the fall damage from the point you jumped off the animal. So in the best case, you won't get any fall damage at all, or just a tiny little bit that you can heal quickly. And I wish I would have known this sooner, then it would have saved a lot of my animals that didn't make it. The next good advice is that an otter can carry more than one artifact. Animals and players can only carry one artifact of the same type in their inventory, but there's an exception. The otter can carry as many as you put in there because it does not have the restriction. So if you go and farm artifacts for your boss fight, then bring an otter and put your additional artifacts into its inventory. The next advice is don't stay too long on only one map. If you want to progress through all 6 story maps, then you need to be a little bit more efficient, especially when playing with friends who don't want to stay in the same game for months or years. I got a lot of similar and related answers to this one. Some say to make sure to only tame animals you really need and not tame everything you see. Focus on your boss creatures. Another person said, start breeding and mutating early so you don't waste too much time doing other things. Personally, I would add if you are playing for the first time, it's completely fine when you want to explore. So don't rush through the maps when you don't have to. But if you play with a team and if you play with other people, it's important to communicate your goals you have. The next point was to use traps to tame and don't ignore loot drops. Another person mentioned that they wish they would have known to use traps earlier and also didn't ignore the loot drops until later in the game. And I agree with both of this. Trapping a dino makes the whole process so much less stressy. And I also wholeheartedly agree on the things with the drops, especially early on. Overworld drops will make your game so much easier. By providing better gear and armor later in the game, you should regularly hunt for cave drops because then you get saddles you need. This gives you a lot of blueprints to choose from once you're ready for the bosses. The next point is save your resources. Don't throw away any resources because the end game is so demanding with material that you can save yourself from hours of farming. Especially things like chitin, keratin and hide should never be dumped anywhere. You need them for armor and saddles later on. Saddles can go into the thousands per piece for certain materials. And the last point is probably also a point I would totally agree with, and that is there is no game that will ever compete with ARK for you. And there's no game available right now at the moment that can offer you what ARK offers you. Game depth, social connections, The feeling of long time accomplishment. ARK is one of its kind, and this is why many players have thousands and thousands of hours into it. There is no game that can offer it right now, especially no game that does not have microtransactions implemented. It will be hard for you to find a game to enjoy after ARK, or how I say, they will always come back. If you personally have any tips or tricks you would like to let beginners know, then use the comment section below and tell me what are the things you wish you would have known before starting to play ARK, and what is the advice that you would give beginners now if they ask you what the important things are to know when starting to play ARK. So let me know in the comments what is your advice you give to beginners, and if you want to see a beginner's guide that I did a while ago, then just check out this link I'm showing you now. And until then, have a good one. Bye bye.